Are we missing anybody?
Sorry, Steve.
Are we missing maybe Sonia or?
Yeah, I spoke to
Sonia
earlier. I spoke to Sonia earlier on. She's hoping to get on. Look, I'd rather stick to the time, and we are recording now. So anybody who's missed out, I'll make sure they get a copy of this, and it'll be on the website for anyone else in your clubs that you would like to go on. So a lot of clubs have actually said, can my head of delegations or my assistant coaches or my AS people, can they jump on? Look, we're only inviting our powerlifting coaches, but if clubs want to invite other people on, more than happy. Okay, it's just we don't want to keep bombarding everybody in a club around every piece of information, because I'm very conscious you guys are getting smashed with everything at the moment. So I'm going to start by talking just about the venue. So the venue, and Liam and Steve, please jump in here. The venue is university, so the UniRec gym at the Waikato University. So if you've never been there before, it's gate 1 of the university. On their website, there's a little bit of an overview of the gym. One thing I would say is if you are Googling it, it might not show you specifically where we are going to be holding the competition. We're actually holding it in their biggest room, which they use for circuit training and CrossFit and all their exercise classes. We have full exclusive access to 3/4 of the full facility. So basically from the time you walk in, it will be all Special Olympics. We'll have someone on the front desk, a sports information desk. They will greet you, they'll sign you guys in, and then you'll walk around. There'll be some people doing the wayfinding. They'll show you where to go. We are going to separate the athletes and accredited coaches section to spectators and parents. So when you walk in, it's very hard to do this on Zoom, but you'll go through one door if you're an athlete or you have an accreditation as an official, a coach, or someone who's supporting the athlete. Parents, spectators, and everybody else will go through another entrance. Once our athletes are in there, they've got access to everything they need. So changing rooms, there's warm-up rooms, there's a yoga studio, there's an area where clubs will be assigned a small area. We're going to put some chairs there and some crash mats so athletes can just relax, coaches can relax. There's water fountains, there's every bit of cardio equipment you can imagine. There's a spinning room if your athletes are into the biking as warm-ups. Then we've got a high performance lifting area, which is going to be our warm-up room. So there's 4 Olympic platforms. Everything in there is owned by the gym. That's quite important. So the equipment in there it's very good standard, but it's not New Zealand powerlifting standard. It's all owned by the UniRec, but it's all brand new. It's 4 Olympic platforms, heaps of space. We are hoping to get some TVs in there just for schedules and all that good stuff, what you coaches need just to support your planning and prep. And then once your athletes have been in the warm-up room, they can obviously come back into the relaxing area, or if they're going from the warm-up room and then into the competition area, there's actually a private access that they will have straight onto the main floor. So they don't actually have to go through parents and caregivers and all the other stuff. So as coaches, that's probably a good thing for you to know. You have got an area where it'll just be you guys. I'm not saying when they're not lifting, they can't go in. You guys will have all access. It's just parents and supporters won't have access to come into the area that you guys are. Anything to add there, Steve, around the venue?
I don't think so. Just that place that you were describing there have you arranged a gazebo so that lifters are sheltered from the sun or rain?
Yeah, so there's an outdoor area we can use. We are going to put a gazebo up there for anyone who wants a bit of fresh air but don't want to, be in the elements, whether it be too hot or raining or whatever. You never know in Hamilton what weather you're going to get. Yeah, so that's a good question. Yeah, we are going to source our gazebo up there. One thing I would say is all the competition equipment is going to be provided by New Zealand Powerlifting. So it's the highest standard of equipment, meets all the rules and regs. It's all the way down to scales for weighing, all the way through to the flooring, through to all the weights. Even our officials, Steve, do you want to just touch on our competition officials?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who they are yet. There's Nick Collins, who I think you'll introduce later, but he'll be sourcing the referees and the spotter loaders, and everybody. So,
but they will be they're all going to be New Zealand Powerlifting qualified.
Oh yeah, quite a few of them will be probably national referees as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really good, because I do know. I was talking to one of our coaches over the weekend. That was one of her key questions. So, look, just to reassure you guys, that New Zealand Powerlifting are helping us source all them. Sorry, I'll just let these guys in. And TD for the TD who's going to be overseeing the event for us is Nick Collins, as Steve mentioned. So Nick is the Waikato Bay of Plenty, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, Waikato Bay of Plenty president.
Yep.
Fully aligned with New Zealand Powerlifting. Obviously, he looks after the guys there, runs a really amazing program. He didn't want me to tell people, but New Zealand Powerlifting have actually sourced some brand new equipment for our guys to use, and that's going to be the first use is actually going to be day one of our event. So we're pretty fortunate there. Anything else around staffing, Steve, I'm missing? I feel like I've missed something around our officials.
I guess, I mean, if anyone knows Darren Neves, who basically runs all the big powerlifting competitions in New Zealand, he'll be running the desk. So we're pretty well sorted there.
Yeah. Awesome. So, look, I feel really good about the venue, and I feel really good about our equipment. It's going to be awesome that our athletes are going to, at national games, they're going to be exposed to a really facility. We are still exploring the opportunity to live stream our powerlifting. That's out of my hands, but I've planted a few seeds with people. We are still trying to get some costs and all the good stuff that comes with, trying to make the event that little bit more special.
If you can't do it, we probably can arrange it, but it might not be like all the whiz bang, 2 screen, 2 cameras and all that. It'd be a fairly basic one.
Is that something, I probably put this out to coaches, is that something you would like, especially you guys traveling in from out of town, would that be beneficial for you guys?
For parents and relatives?
I think we've got quite a few elderly relatives that would like to watch remotely, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still very conscious around the COVID thing as well. We've had lots of people pulling out, hence why we're taking our time with the final schedules, because on the daily we're getting clubs and volunteers and athletes and all sorts pulling out. We're even getting people changing their mind and trying to get back in once they've pulled out. So there's lots of moving parts at the minute, and I think if we can, we'll take it offline, Steve, but I think if we can, and clubs and coaches would like that, I think we continue to push to try and make that happen. Okay. All right. Sorry. Has anybody got any questions around the venue?
My question, but maybe Steve will be able to answer it, is are the lifting bars in the lifting area proper powerlifting bars, or we don't want to be stuck with Olympic lifting bars, which are narrower?
Yeah, they probably will be Olympic lifting in the warm-up area, unless we can get a few from Waikato, which we might be able to.
Yeah, I've done a few comps in there, and they've got, I'm pretty sure they're big fat bumper plates, and the spinning Olympic barbell. So yeah, it could be handy to try and source a
Yeah.
couple of actual power bars of the bigger boys warming up in there. Otherwise, yeah, I can probably see a few problems if it is bumper plates with Olympic barbells.
Yeah, that's the only thing. It just applied to a few of the top ones, but
It's on my to-do list for the next Zoom call we have after this one, is to talk about whether we have enough weights in the warm-up area. Maybe we need to bring some steel ones in so we can think about bars as well.
It's Marianne here from Manawatu. I've got a couple of Down syndrome people who've got really small digits. Can you get a smaller diameter bar for them?
There's only one size allowed in, I'm afraid, in
Ah,
powerlifting.
all right, I will have asked the question. It just actually puts them at a bit of a disadvantage.
So, we're dealing with special needs. So is there no allowance made for special needs? Is that not what Special Olympics is about?
Well, it's just what's in the Special Olympics rules, and that's an IPF standard bar.
Yeah, with it being our nationals, it's by the book. With it being nationals, we've gone and sourced the bar that we needed to get for this event. I don't think we have the luxury of going out and purchasing other bars, if I'm really honest with you.
They wouldn't be allowed anyway under the rules of Special Olympics rules of competition.
Yeah, and with it being nationals, we have to obviously go by the national rules.
Well, that is probably disappointing, but still.
So would I see these athletes not compete, Marianne?
Pardon?
So would they not compete based on?
No, they can compete, but it's just that they're short in stature, but they're also have very short digits.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Look. Sorry. Look. And again, I know we're all about inclusion and stuff like that. It'd be a different story, I suppose, if they couldn't compete because of that. But again, at nationals, it's by the book. Yeah. Anything else to add around that, Steve?
Don't think so. No.
Anybody got any other questions around equipment, venue?
So at the last nationals, I know there was a bus strike at the time, but buses were really late at turning up. Are we going to have provision for that?
Was this in Wellington?
Yeah, and it coincided with bus strikes, and so Wellington was chaos that time.
Okay, don't talk to me, Bryce and Nikki, about buses being late. We had a bit of a run in this weekend just gone. Yeah, look, our bus company have assured us we're going to have more than enough. If I just explain the schedule to you guys, so the powerlifting schedule right now on the weekend is going to be 8 a.m. till 4:30 p.m. for both days. So that's spread over 2 days.
What days is that, Mike?
So that is the Saturday the 10th and Sunday the 11th of December.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's 8 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. That's your times right now. We are still trying to finalize the schedule. We've got all the lifters information, and we are now looking, to map it into some times, looking at where breaks can fit in, all that type of stuff. Buses will be leaving from all the different accommodation venues. Apologies, I did know where all you guys were staying at one point, but I have been made aware it's all changed, and now clubs are aware of where they're staying. I got the first draft of where you guys were going to be staying, and it was a little bit closer to the university. Is anybody on this call staying at the uni still?
Yep, Manawatu is.
Awesome. So you guys that are staying at the university, you are a walk away, so you don't have to worry about any buses. that'll work absolutely perfect.
It said a 10-minute walk. Is it a 10-minute walk, or people with disabilities might take 20 minutes?
No, it's not a 10-minute walk. It's about a 100-meter walk, Marianne. So if it takes them
Right.
10 minutes.
Good.
But again, depending on whereabouts they put you, the uni's a big place. If it's more than a few minutes walk, I will be recommending you guys get the bus. And the buses will be doing loops at that distance. I'm guessing they'll just come and pick you up. With the scheduling, the way it's worked is I've given those times. The buses will be there. That is the start time. So 8 o'clock means you will be at the venue for 8 o'clock. So buses will work out what time they need to be at your accommodation. If you're in Cambridge, for example, which I know some people are in other sports, your bus is going to be a little bit earlier. If you're at St. Peter's in Hamilton or St. Paul's in Hamilton, you might be an extra 5 minutes. And on a Saturday and Sunday at those times in Hamilton, fingers crossed, you should be pretty good. Very aware of previous issues around walking miles and miles and taking ages just to then wait for a bus for an hour. I think the luxury, the good thing and the luxury we have here is there's heaps of space for the buses. Our venue managers are going to be in constant contact. So we've got 4:30 scheduled here. If we know the event's running ahead or we're behind or whatever, Liam, who's on our call here, he'd have already preempted where we are, and he'll be in contact with the buses directly just to make sure they're changing their plan accordingly. Yeah, and one thing I have asked today as well, because I know I was kind of preempting this coming up. Some of you who are coming Thursday for the opening ceremony and there for the Friday, I've also already asked the question around buses for you guys there. So how are you going to get around, or how are you expected to get to Claudelands? I've also asked the question around lunches. So what I was told was, if, for instance, your lunch is on the Friday the 9th, they will be delivered to Claudelands unless, and there's going to be correspondence going out around this, but it might be good for you guys to know now to take back to your clubs. If you're not planning on going to Claudelands, which has got 3 sports, the Village and Haps, so they will make sure they are delivered to your accommodation, and the team managers and whatever will be made aware, or the clubs. Again, I'm not in charge of buses or food and the operational stuff. They don't trust me with that stuff, which is understandable. Yeah, they have got a plan in place for that. It's really important you don't miss out. I've heard some horror stories previously where athletes and volunteers have gone without food because events blew out and all that other stuff. If we do overrun, buses, Liam will be onto that. And if we also finish earlier, Liam will be onto that as well. So in regards to lunches at our venue, packed lunch will be delivered at 10:30 every day. So that's across every sport. So lunch will be delivered 10:30. Our venue managers will get that. So that will go to Liam. Liam will distribute that at the venue to the team managers. And anyone who's accredited will receive their lunch. A little bit different with powerlifting, and Steve might jump in here. Just thinking about breakfast, and this is something I wanted to throw out there as a bit of a question, but also my sort of thinking. We're currently talking about 8 a.m. being when we start our weigh-ins. So 8 a.m. venue open, or 7 a.m. potentially could be an option. I'm thinking 8 a.m. What's your thoughts around breakfast? Because some athletes won't want to eat until they've weighed in. Others might eat then, and clubs have their own thoughts around that. Really keen to just throw it out to the group here and see what you would like, and see if we can try and cater for everybody in that space. Some athletes are not worried about it. Others are.
Well, for Manawatu, we'd like to have breakfast before we start.
Okay. So would you want that at the accommodation,
Yeah,
Marianne, would that work best for you?
yeah,
Are you staying at university? Yep.
correct.
Okay, yeah, so that would work really well because you could, even if you wanted to go way in, you could potentially even let them go back and have breakfast. Why I was asking, because powerlifting being quite technical and quite unique, if clubs, the majority of the clubs wanted breakfast to be made available at the venue, that's something I could have put to our ops people as an option. No guarantees, but if people are happy to eat at their accommodation, that's also fine. I'm sure a lot of powerlifters would bring their own food anyway, if I'm really honest.
Not necessarily.
We haven't got, we can't go shopping, can we? Because we're without any transport.
So breakfast will definitely be available in your venues, 100%. It's just, I'm just a little bit worried around the timeframes if people are wanting to eat.
Yeah, I'd much prefer it if it was at the venue. And also if you're coming with other powerlifters who are not competing that day, but you're in charge of them, will they get things provided as well? Breakfast and lunch.
Yeah. So any athlete that is registered to compete will get lunch.
Even if they're not competing that day.
Yeah, yeah. If you're living in, so I know we've got live in and live out. If you're living in is all your meals throughout the competition. Okay, so I'll probably take that offline and do a little bit more thinking about it. Now I know we've got a little bit of a mix, but I can assure you breakfast will be available at your venues. But for those that are wanting breakfast to be at the Unirec, that might be something we can try and work out just to tick everybody's boxes. Anything to add there, Steve, Liam?
Not on the catering, nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Okay.
But I just want to clarify it also that the athlete that's not competing on a certain day, but's competing on the next day, I still have to look after them. Will they get fed at the venue?
Yes. Every day, yeah. So both days. So if you're only competing day 2 or day 1 or whatever the schedule ends up looking like, you'll be fed both days.
Excellent. That's super.
And you'll be fed. So if you're a live-in, you'll be, from the minute you get to your accommodation right through, you'll be fed all your meals. Yeah. So your breakfast. So breakfast and dinner is obviously like your accommodation. Lunch is going to be delivered to the venue every morning. I can try and play around with that breakfast thing for some of you. Even if
it's a packed breakfast,
yeah, we could. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So we could have a look at that.
Because I don't want Richard sitting eating slowly, and James is in a hurry to get weighed in.
Yeah, and we'll all have our different dynamics going on in our team, and that's that's kind of the tricky thing we're trying to work through, try and make it as easy as we can for you guys. Probably the key things from me right now. Anything you want to add, Steve, around anything?
I got quite a few things if you want me to start on them.
Yeah, and look, please jump in for questions, guys, on the back of the info.
Okay. Well, obviously, everyone should have a copy of the rules and know what they say. So if it's not in the rules, it's not allowed. One thing that may have misled some people was on the Summer Games website, there's a uniform guidelines page, and that's quite out of date. It talks about supportive lifting equipment, which is no longer allowed. I don't think this is going to apply to anybody in New Zealand, but just in case, specifically no knee wraps or supportive suits. The usual knee sleeves and wrist wraps are fine. Yeah, as per the rules, the equipment doesn't need to be IPF approved, but it does need to meet the specs which are set out in the rules. Again, I'm pretty sure that most of our lifters have the right gear. Please just remember to bring long socks for the deadlift. or they won't be allowed to lift for hygiene reasons. Okay, one other thing is we think we should allow coaches onto the platform if they want to help position their lifters' hands or feet, but then they need to be off the platform before the lift starts. Also, the coach might want to come out during the bench press to talk to the head spotter to say what kind of lift out the lifter wants if they don't want to do that themselves. But they then need to clear straight off the platform before the chief referee gives the start command. Yeah, you've probably seen some stuff about appeals in the summer games generally, in a $20 charge for putting in an appeal, and I think in a subsequent $20 charge as well. But with powerlifting, it's pretty straightforward. If you disagree with the referee's decision, or if you think there's been a misloading or the spotter's got in the way of the lifter or something, you just immediately go to the head referee and he'll make a decision, yay or nay. So no worries about putting in $20 deposit for anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's like an administrative error and people are being given the wrong placings, then the usual Special Olympics time limits apply for challenging those. What else did we have? Oh yeah, for the weigh-ins, if your athlete wants to strip down to little or nothing, could you please make sure that they just turn up in maybe jandals, shorts and a t-shirt, so that we can keep the weigh-ins flowing and not have to wait for people to take off and put on tracksuit trousers and lace up their trainers and everything like that, because there'll be some athletes wanting to get weighed in so they can eat. I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all from me.
How are we doing GMS, or are we doing NZPL's system?
Well, GMS is only a results recording system, so we'll be running it with some sort of competition software. I'm not sure exactly which one yet. So results will just end up in GMS afterwards.
So all the divisioning and stuff like that, Marianne, will be done on GMS. So the program will be pumped out from GMS, all that stuff. But we are going to be using NZPF software throughout. And then the data entry, we're going to have a data entry team there that transfer everything to GMS just to keep it clean. So the dummy runs we've done using GMS just hasn't worked. Special Olympics International are trying to build in the NZPF software into GMS. They promised me it would be ready. I don't feel good about it. So we're going to just make a call, and Steve, Darren and the crew manning the desk. Well, Darren, they're going to do all our scoring, and we'll make sure it still gets pumped out on our GMS.
Oh, so what do the international body do at their competitions?
New Zealand.
That's the Special Olympics World Games.
They used a fairly basic competition software called Next Lifter.
Is that not appropriate for us to use?
It may be, but it's not the best one out there. So we have choice of about 3 or 4.
Yeah,
so
it's a little bit clunky.
Darren about it.
Yeah, so Stacey actually went over to the test games and looked at this, Marianne, and it's a little bit clunky, and it did pump out a few admin errors, which caused a little bit of stress in some areas. Yeah, so again, NZPF are going to man that system, and yeah, but it still will all be put through GMS and follow the usual processes.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Will the main referee do with our athletes with poor hearing or hearing challenges? Will they be clear hand signals, especially on the bench and that sort of thing with the
Oh
calls?
yeah, if you're the coach, you go with your athlete and say there's hard of hearing, and the chief referee will probably come and stand right over them and with his hand visible to them and shout very loudly.
Yep.
But they can't remember them all as they go through, so please go up each time and remind them that needs to be done.
Yeah, good question, Bryce. Yeah, thanks.
Do you want to go over the commands for the different lifts?
They're all set out in the rules. You can, if you like.
Yep, if you could, please.
So for the squat, you walk out, go to the platform, unrack, walk the weight out, and lock knees and wait for this chief referee's command squat. Squat in your own time, return to a standing position, and then wait for the command rack. And then you can move forward and replace the bar in the rack.
Yeah.
And make sure you don't jump that call. For the bench press, go out to the bench. This is a good point to say if they have hard of hearing, or whether they want a soft lift out, or whether they want to lift off the weights themselves. So then they'll unrack the weight and wait for the chief referee to give the start command. Lower the bar to the chest. Wait for the press command, push it up again, and then wait for the rack command. And for deadlift, you just basically walk out to the bar. And again, this is somewhere where the coach might want to help position their hands and feet. Then do the lift in their own time. Once they've lifted it up, wait for the chief referee to give the down command, and then replace it to the ground under control, without, in other words, without letting go and dropping it. And that's it.
And what experience do the referees have for judging people with special needs?
Well, the rules are the same for everybody.
Just
So
a
if you look
question.
in the rules on page in section 4.9, basically, it tells you all the requirements for each lift.
Yeah, no, that's good, Steve.
Okay.
We're all on the same song sheet.
All right.
Are you allowed to tell us how many powerlifters we've got?
That was on my list, Mary, and I knew I forgot to say something. We've had a few withdrawals. We're currently at 28. We've had a couple pull out, and there is a couple that have pulled out but maybe coming back in. So if we just work on that magic number of 30, I think we'll be all right. I'm working with Stacey at the moment. I'm hoping we can get a schedule out pretty quickly for you guys, just so we can have a look. And then NZPF are actually going to do a bit of a dummy run and load it all up into their system wherever we land, and we'll be pretty good to go. If we work on the 30 number, I'm hopeful we're going to get some more.
So maybe mention at this point, Gary, that the idea is that we'll have the 3 lift competition on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday we'll have the 2 lift competition, which has less lifters in it, followed by the awards ceremony.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so from the information I was given, previously it had been done over one day, and it was a pretty big day. I think spreading it out over 2, we really want to make it the best experience we can. So we don't want to have to, slam through everything and then cram the awards in at the end. We really want to try and follow a bit of a structure where it allows a couple of breaks in there, and all that good stuff. Any questions around the 3 and the 2 lift? Everyone happy with that?
So if we just, for those who remember Wellington, everyone was mixed together, so nobody really knew who was competing against who. And some people were competing against people who'd done 3 lifts when they themselves were only doing 2, which wasn't really fair. So this time splitting it out into 2 separate competitions is much easier to manage and much fairer on the athletes.
Yeah.
And it's easier for us coaches who might have athletes at each end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Okay.
So at this stage, can you confirm that there'll be 3 lifts on the 3 lifters on Saturday and the 2 liftings on Sunday? Can you confirm that now?
Yeah, at this stage, Marianne, that's where we've landed. Yep.
Yeah, because we usually, each coach, you know, if you do the 1-to-4 ratio, you always end up with a couple in that group and a couple in the other group.
Yeah, 100%. I'm hoping I can get that stuff out concrete by the 18th of November. That's the day I'm hoping to be able to say to all clubs around all sports, here is the final draft of the schedule. Here's the time frames, you know, because there is knock-on effect with some stuff. But yeah, right now, Steve, that's where we're at. The 3 and the 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the timetable, if it changes, it changes, but we definitely would be running the 2 competitions separately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that what they do internationally as well?
Yeah, they don't generally have a 2 lift competition, but yeah, bench only would be run separate. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then the awards will be done at the end, which is, yeah, not sure on what VIPs and stuff are coming yet, but we will be doing the awards in the area where they're lifting.
Oh, and do they wear the uniforms for the awards?
Sorry, say that again, Agnes.
Will they have to wear their tracksuit for the awards? I'm thinking of the other athlete who's not lifting on that day.
Good question. There's no requirement from our end specifying what they need to wear for the powerlifting. I think it'd be nice if they had something with their club name on there. I'm thinking you guys might want to get photos and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think
Probably
it's
should be in their
advisable
club
that-
uniforms, Gary, should they not?
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, I
But
think
I've had
so.
a couple of coaches from other sports prize pushing back saying just around the hygiene thing, and it's a long week and all that stuff. I suppose for powerlifting, it could be something we do enforce if that's, I say enforce, something we make quite clear again to coaches.
Well, I don't think you need to enforce it, but
It's
you
just,
know, if an
Most
award
clubs would-
ceremony, you want to be dressed in your uniform.
yeah.
I think most clubs will do that anyway, but
Yeah.
might be worth.
I have some of our bigger sports, you know, that running at a longer duration, they have questioned stuff. So yeah, look, let's go with it. I can put that down in the future email that I send out as well with rules and stuff, just as a reminder. I'm hoping to have some type of backdrop there as well for photos, so people can get their awards, and you know, there's like a backdrop behind me while I'm talking here. Even something like that, I think is really cool. Not sure what it looks like yet. And the games team are running that stuff, but I know at some venues we are going to have a bit of a backdrop for our athletes to show off their awards.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Just going back to right at the beginning, healthy athletes. So if we're at the uni, we just catch a bus to Claudelands.
Yeah.
Will the bus be doing a loop thing so that when we might not want to be there all day, because that would be
Yeah. So when are you scheduled in, Marianne? I'm not sure. I ain't got that in front of me. When are you?
no idea.
Are you guys not being told when you're
Friday.
scheduled in yet?
Friday for
Yeah,
Right.
powerlifting's Friday.
Okay, so on the Friday, it
Oh
sounds
yes,
like powerlifting's got the Friday spot, which is pretty good spot. If I'm honest with you, the Saturday and the Sunday is pretty busy. Yeah, buses from Claudelands will be going all over the place. On your accreditations that you guys will get, and what the athletes will get, there'll be a couple of different colours, and then all you will do is jump on a bus with that colour, and that'll take you to that venue. And that's all you'll do. So if you've got green on or orange on or whatever it is, you might all be at powerlifting with different colours if you're at different accommodation. You'll just jump on a bus with that colour. And why that's good, it allows our guys who are going to be managing the buses to see any athletes that are wandering or, you know, being a bit curious, trying to get on other buses and things like that. We can do it quite quickly. And the key reasoning was actually around the opening and closing ceremonies to get people in and out in big volume. I actually think the buses won't be a big problem this time round. I'm guessing there might be some waiting, but I don't think it's going to be anything like the hours and, you know, the stuff I got told last time. And where Claudeland, yeah, so I'm pretty positive about it. Where Claudelands is to Unirec, you're looking at about 5 kilometers max. So it's not actually that far. So even if it was 2 or 3 buses looping, that'd be great. I would recommend talking to Stephen and booking a slot in HAPS. Has anybody done that yet? Oh yeah, awesome. So if you haven't spoken to Stephen yet, Stephen is out, he's coordinating the HAPS program. He's trying to actually talk to clubs and get some specific times. So if you don't want to spend all day there, he can lock you in for a bit of a block. You guys can go. Once you're done, have a bit of a play around in the athletes village, go watch some of the bocce and the indoor bowls and the football that's at Claudelands, and then get back on a bus and go. Or you might, you know, jump on a bus and go to the zoo or do whatever it is you want to do as a team. But there is going to be, as far as I'm aware, there's buses going all over the place. It's just working out where you're going to catch them and that type of thing. But if you want to contact Stephen, his email address is just haps@specialolympics.org.nz. HAPS. Thank you, Liam. So Liam's put it in the chat there for everybody. Highly recommend, even if you just want to have a conversation with him and say, hey, what's your current bookings looking like? We're thinking about coming this time. And he'll give you a bit of an insight to that, because again, I feel it. You don't want to be there for 2 hours waiting and then having to wait for all your athletes to get through it and stuck in one venue.
Gary, if you want to allow me to share screen, I've got some pictures of the venue here that people might want to see.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Steve.
You have to give me permission though.
Yeah, you can have permission, mate.
Okay. Host disabled participant screen sharing, it says.
Okay. All right. Hang on. Go with me. Kylie sets this up and she blocks everybody doing stuff. Because it's people like me that break the system. All right. It should be all good now. Right there.
Oh yeah, I think so.
All right. Try that, mate. Just conscious of our time as well.
Yeah.
Hang
on just a moment.
So while Steve's trying to figure that out, Gary, are you able to answer, do spectators have to register? Because somebody said at our meeting yesterday that that's no longer required.
No, there's no need to register.
So Granny and Grandad and aunties can all just turn up.
Yep. Yeah.
Excellent.
And they'll go in a separate area to where everyone with an accreditation is.
Excellent.
We're pretty lucky with the venue that we've got. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's massive, but it's got everything we need to run a pretty smooth event. Okay, I think we've lost Steve.
Oh,
That's okay. All right, what we'll do, we'll park the photos. I did want to ask you guys, is it worth me going to the venue and doing a walkthrough for you and videoing it and sending it to you guys? Would you guys like, you know, like the warm-up area and stuff like that? I just want you to feel as, you know, get a good feel for the place before you get there. I won't do that if you're not going to use it. You know, there's no promises that I can get in and get it done, but I'm sure myself or Liam can go and walk through and just, you know, talk a bit of a silly video. Here's where you'll walk in. Here's where the warm-up room is. I know some of you on here have been there numerous times, so.
Gary, I'm heading down next week, I believe. So happy to get that video
There he is.
and then sent through to the group if needed.
Awesome. Okay, and I'll send that to the guys that couldn't attend as well this evening.
Can people see that screen now?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the main hall. So if looking at the back there, there's a stage there. So we anticipate the platform being in front of that. And most likely the desk being over to the right there. Then just where you can see that punch bag hanging up. Outside there is going to be the lifters waiting area. That's where we talked about that gazebo. So they walk through there. That's another, again, this right here is where the platform will be. So lifters coming in through this doorway here. That's the outside area, which should have a gazebo, and also somewhere to put on baby powder as well without making a mess of the gym.
Is that me there, Steve?
What's that?
Was that me in that picture?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, not that one. Or was it? No.
All right, now just
Yes, it is you. It is you in the
Okay.
orange. Yeah.
Oh.
Because if it's raining, you don't want the increase.
Yeah. So that's the lifters waiting area. And then here's in the high performance gym, which is the warm up area. So they basically have these 4 stations here. As you can see, there's Olympic weights. There's lots of them though. So yeah,
They also have a couple of stacks that they have on wheels to the side as well, just with extra 20s.
Yeah. But we will work out, I'll get Nick Collins to just have a look at exactly how much weight is there and whether we need to bring in a bit more just for the big boys.
Yeah.
There's the cardio area that you mentioned earlier. And water fountain. That's all I've got. There is an area that I haven't got a picture of, which is the area for all the resting and eating and dumping the gear bags and everything.
Yeah. Do you guys, I'm just thinking before I tell the venue, do you guys want mats putting out as well as chairs? I'm just thinking if athletes want to lay out on the floor or sit down, or would you prefer just chairs?
chairs for us.
Okay.
Lots of chairs.
All right, so we might just go chairs all round. And then depending on the size of your team, we'll allocate a bit of an area, be a bit of a common area for people to sit, eat, do all that stuff and relax. And we'll try and
chairs. We need chairs, Gary, in the outside area as well for the athletes who are waiting.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. All right.
Do you have a contingency plan if it's a really crappy day for the outside area? Because if it's windy and rainy, you won't want your athletes sitting outside.
Yeah, if it's windy and rainy, we will obviously have to go inside, but we'll probably look at a space.
We just tape off a bit of the main hall, I guess.
Yeah, or near the cardio. Yeah, so it'd be the main hall or near the cardio room, depending how many lifts back we're preparing. But fingers crossed, Nikki. It's always nice here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the wind is the word. Rain will be fine because it'll be gazeboed, but it's just that wind and rain combo would be horrible. So yeah.
Only
It is a massive hall that the competition is taking place in. So if we need to tape off a bit by the door, that's
and put a
won't be
few
problem at
benches
all.
there or something, some seats that would work.
organisation's only as good as the backup, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, and for those of you that remember Wellington, there are some big fans mounted on the walls as well.
Oh, good.
Oh, was it hot? Was it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah, and it'd be nice to keep those doors open for a bit of a draft. All right. Conscious of our time, everyone. Is there any final questions? And look, if you haven't got a question now, but with something pops up, really keen to keep communicating with you guys. And even if we iron out 80% of everything before we get there, we'll only have a handful of things to work through when we are at the event.
One question, sightseeing, if we want to go to the zoo on Monday?
I recommend it. I'd go in the morning, Marianne, just put that on your radar.
Yeah, maybe morning. Well, yeah, morning probably.
Yeah, so what I have been told is if there is a big group of people that would like to go, so if it's your full group, Marianne, they will put a bus on for you. If not, there'll be buses looping from Claudelands anyway. And all your accreditations you can get on any public transport you want. So depending on your group, how big it is, all that type of stuff, you're going to have a couple of different options. You know, the Monday, you might say you want to get your lunch delivered to your accommodation, then take your lunch to the zoo. That might be a good option.
Marianne, you can come to Morrinsville and have a look at the cows.
Oh, lovely. Well overdue. Oh, so you can organise to have your lunches at your accommodation.
If you're not going to be at Claudelands, they will drop off your lunches at your accommodation.
Okay. And then, but theoretically, we've got to catch our bus from the uni to Claudelands, and then we can start looping with the buses.
You could do, or you could work with our team and tell them early enough. Oh, you know, we could tell them on the Saturday, is there any buses coming via the uni to the zoo? If there was a handful of people that want to go, you know, if there's 8 or 10 athletes, coaches, whatever, we'll get a bus sent for you. As it's just around the comms. So if we know on the Saturday or something, or if we can work out when you'd like to go, they'll give you the best option. If it was just yourself and a couple of athletes, they may say, we can't send a full bus for you, but we've got a bus leaving Claudelands. They're going to swing by and get you and then go. I actually think that the public transport near the university itself is pretty good. So you might even be easier to just jump on a bus. But you'll have different options depending on when you want to go.
And if we were to go to Claudelands and the lunches arrive at 10:30, will the lunches arrive? When would we be able to pick them up?
So if lunches on the Monday, you mean?
Yeah.
I'd have to check with Arnica. We'd have to check. Because I'm not sure, I can't comment because I'm not sure who your caterers are, or you guys might be a bit easier for you guys because I think your lunches are going to be done at the uni, which is actually pretty good. So you guys could just get it from the uni and take it with you. That'd work out pretty well.
Yeah, we've actually got people joining the next meeting there, Gary.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm really sorry to cut everyone off. If you do have any more questions, please sing out, come to me. I'm sure Steve's happy to field any questions as well. I know he already has talked to a few of you guys.